Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Dr. Sachidanand Joshi, Member Secretary IGNCA, it is my proud privilege to welcome you all to this webinar on a subject of symbiotic relevance during this period of the corona pandemic. The topic is also relevant from the fact that very recently, on 23rd April, the entire world celebrated, of course, under the given circumstances of lockdown, the World Book and Copyright Day. While the COVID 19 remains primarily a health crisis, the prolonged lockdowns have also brought to the fore the need to address the wellness aspect. Individuals are not used to staying cooped up at home, and hence the individual wellness of everyone also becomes very necessary. It is here that the books and publications, be they in the printed or electronic form, they constitute a vital element for the well-being of all humanity. This afternoon, we have a very wide array of eminent experts from the Indian publishing industry who will share with us their unique perspectives on the contours of the publishing industry in the post-COVID era. As head of department of the Kaladarshan division of the Indira Gandhi National Center for the Arts, I am proud to welcome the panelists whom I will introduce briefly in the next couple of minutes. In the chair today, we have Mrs. Sadhna Raut, who is the former Director General of the Publication Division in the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. We have Mr. Shesh Sheshadri, who is the Director and General Manager of Lonely Planet. He has over 4 decades of experience. He was responsible for the Lonely Planet entry into India in 2012. Previously, he was associated with the Oxford University Press and was also the executive director at Darling Kindersley. Sri Vivek Mehra is the MD and CEO of Sage Publications. He is a noted TEDx speaker and a mentor. A sidelight for Sri Mehra is also that he started his career with a major fashion house in New York. So his journey from being a model to a publisher would be very interesting. हमारे साथ श्री प्रभात कुमार जी भी हैं, जो निदेशक है प्रभात प्रकाशन के. प्रभात प्रकाशन एक 60 साल 60-year-old पब्लिशिंग हाउस जिसका की श्रेय ये भी है कि इन्होंने सबसे पहले रशियन ऑथर्स जैसे चेकोव, टॉल्स्टॉय एंड मैक्सिम गोर्की का हिंदी में ट्रांसलेशन किया था. सुनील नेवतिया जी हैं, जो डायरेक्टर हैं जेबीडी एजुकेशनल्स प्राइवेट लिमिटेड एंड ड्रीम पब्लिकेशंस लिमिटेड. ये वाइजैग बेस्ड हैं. हमारे साथ रेणुकौल वर्मा मैम भी हैं, जो फाउंडर डायरेक्टर हैं विटास्टा पब्लिकेशंस की. ये फॉर्मर जर्नलिस्ट रह चुकी हैं इंडियन एक्सप्रेस, हिंदुस्तान टाइम्स एंड टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया में. She also publishes a monthly newspaper focusing on the Indian publishing industry. It's called the Booklink. Akhilesh Mishra ji हैं, जो फाउंडर CEO है of Bluecraft Digital Foundation. He is an engineer by education, is a marketing man by profession, and a policy activist by passion. He has been an active voice on the social media platforms on both policy as well as political issues. Then we have
It's 3 o'clock.
Then we have Sri Ashok Gupta, who's the MD of Unicorn Books. He is the Honorary General Secretary of the Federation of Indian Publishers. With this, before I hand over to Sadhna Raut ma'am, for the viewers, just a general point of information that we'll be covering the webinar in 2 stages. In stage 1, each panelist will give their views in a span of about 8 minutes. And then in the second round, we'll follow in the reverse order, where the panelists will take about 5 minutes each. In the end, after a brief summary, I will hand over to Mrs. Sadhana Raut for the concluding remarks. Now, without further ado, let me hand over the floor to Sadhana Raut, ma'am.
Something has gone.
Yes.
डॉक्टर साहब you are not audible.
अब ठीक है?
अब ठीक है, आपकी आवाज आ रही है
जी। तो नमस्कार, आप सबका इस वेबिनार में स्वागत है and I am thankful to all of you for having spared your time. So, as I have been given the task of initiating the discussion and some of the points that have been given by IGNCA, so I'll give my initial response to the significant changes in the publishing industry over the last decade in the Indian context, and then move on to the future of publishing industry in the post-COVID scenario. So there used to be a time when people would walk into a bookstore, a small exclusive one, browse. There would be nothing but books in that store, and yes, the bookseller would be someone you knew if you were a frequent visitor. Books would be bought based on the personal recommendation of the bookseller. This scenario, while not totally impossible, has largely changed in the past one or in most large cities. Small independent bookstores have given way to a large chain such as Crossword, and with Amazon gaining precedence in India, another change that has taken place is online sales. Instead of personalized recommendations, people now buy books at heavy discounted rates from several online sites where an algorithm and paid and promoted reviews make the suggestions for them. So the going and browsing for a book seems to be an activity of past for the most of the readers. If this is the experience of the book buyer today, the publishing industry itself has seen a lot of revolution, and I hope all of you will agree to this. Self-publishing has made its presence felt, with authors relying on Kindle and other publishing platforms to get their books out. And for marketing, social media has become the most important tool. And getting on the bestseller list by social media likes and tweets and retweets and paid bloggers and reviews has become the norm, though it involves sizable expenditure too. Publicity of books, literary festivals taking place across the country, it appears that they have become more important than the actual content. The Indian publishing industry, therefore, has grown pace, and many exciting opportunities have been opened for all those in the ecosystem of the book publishing in the last decade. And my sense, however, is that it has become harder for the publishers in this decade. And I'll like all of you to comment on this. Previously, the fight was how to get the books to the stores, and now it is also how to increase the visibility of the books so that the positive sales can be generated. I would like to be educated whether the readership has declined, though we have now the more number of literate people than any other time in the history. But more and more people are now also getting addicted to the screens. And with the advent of Netflix and Amazon Prime, perhaps it is eroding the reading habit. How to motivate the children and the young people to read books, and particularly the Indian language books, is an important issue today. The last decade was clearly dominated by academic publishers, and some of you sitting here will comment on it, while the trade publishing appears to be much smaller in the size. With the advancement in technology and introduction of the e-reader in 2007 or 2008, the e-books have made a big entry and now growing by the leaps and the bounds. Audiobooks have also made an entry. But in the year 2020, an unprecedented disruption lockdowns, social distancing, income and job losses, fear of infection, and disruption of links between the supply of products and the books in this case and consumers is making the nation's economy built over centuries disappear overnight. We are truly living in a bizarre and unprecedented times. Agree that offline sale of the books has come to a halt. Retailers and distributors have scaled back on their orders. New releases have taken a hit. Festivals, book fairs have been called off. This slowdown may have made a big impact on the finances of most publishers. I'll be educated by the views of all of you in this regard. What has made it worse was the fact that classified as non-essentials goods, and even if readers wanted to order a hard copy from the online, they were unable to do so. Of course, many new readers also emerged during the lockdown, and it will be interesting to know more details from our panelists. Think on the positive side, the 2 months of lockdown may have activated many authors. There is also an opportunity for producing COVID literature, and it seems demands for books on self-development, personal transformation, happiness, mind, body, spirit, etc., may see an increase. So there is a scope to cultivate new genres such as Doordarshan. Can have this as a thread for survival as moves zero and slow is reading its need is seen affect how the published sales. Only the and during the pandemic, many but let us with the push towards so the good technology, many publishers launched ebooks ahead. But will this be a short gap arrangement or a viable alternative future? We need to discuss. Ready with the digital first strategy? A good question. I would also like to enlighten to last 2 months of the lockdown in terms of title. We also request us know what is the internet survival strategy for publishers and its downstream of distributors. How does one clear the stock of books? That may be a mountain. Many of my friends in the publishing industry who talk about how to ensure the new protocol of social distancing given the guidance. And when incomes are going down, Should there be a new pricing strategy to compete with the books? What new models are needed today to create for future, and in what ways the publishing industry will transform its ways to deliver the content in the digital era in many exciting formats? Lastly, do we expect some support from the government? The long-standing costs growing up due to GST, which the friends keep talking about, is there a better chance now to get a listening from the government? What kind of enabling environment do we expect? Was in school help the publishers? Let me stop here and listen to the valuable views of the panelists. Thank you.
May I now request Mr. Sheshadri to kindly lead the way forward on this webinar.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you for this opportunity. Thank you, people who have dialed in, logged in, and listening to this afternoon session of this panel. I think there's a lot of questions, so instead of taking question by question, what I've done is that I sort of created a kind of a dossier where I could address all of them in a sort of a collective manner. So I would take that approach. Probably I'll start by saying Sarve Jana Sukhino Bhavantu is what everybody wants now, is that everybody needs to be happy and healthy, which is what the first thing that all of us are looking at. The topic is very loud and clear, what we need to be doing, but I think we must understand that all of us are still in the thinking process because we aren't sure how the situation is going to evolve. So it's a continuation, and where is it going is something evolving. I have been told to cover the school education part, so I'll stay with that. There are other experts who are in the other fields who will talk about the other areas. So what I said was, while we can plan for the future, we need to be clear that we need to constantly course correct because we really don't know where this pandemic must have fortnightly meetings, both within the school and around the community, to see how things should be decided or how things should be functioning. There could be a national policy framework and there could be a guideline, but that cannot be the final word. In my opinion, we see that for not having a national task force on COVID has become a challenge because you don't know which crosser you can border, which border you can cross, which border you can't cross. So it is much better left to the school level to decide on what do the community and the parents want that school to do, because fits all is not going to work in that sector. Now, there is a lot of significant changes that's happened in the Indian context is many years, but I think what is primarily disappointing is that we have always been a nation reading for examination. So let's first talk about a few numbers which are mind-boggling, particularly when international visitors hear this, they think, wow, what a market. 1.5 million schools, of which a mere 2.46 are urban areas. So the whole school system operates much less in urban areas. And again, out of the 1.5 million, the private sector is only in 3.25 lakh schools. So we have a mind-boggling student population of 247 million children who are going to school and are being looked after and taught and educated by 9.4 million teachers. I think what I need to do here is to be honest and not sugarcoat and send everybody, everybody has to be positive, everybody has to be pessimistic, but we can't put the truth under the carpet, and we need to be clear on that. We can see that there has not been any significant change in the policy or in the functionality of the school education system for so many years. So, if you ask me what is the significant change, I would say hardly anything, because we are still driven by, as I was saying earlier, exam, rote learning, and we are still teaching the national curriculum which was formed in the year 2005. Now, if you look at an example, just one example, how to validate this. If you look at the JEE exam in 2019, 1.8 million students appeared for this examination for probably a mere 15,000 seats. Now, everybody's saying, okay, that's good. We are now moving ahead and making a new policy. Definitely the policy will come out. So the new education policy is under discussion for the last 5 years and is yet to be implemented. Plus, the new policy is suggesting ideas, thought processes, implementation, curriculum, pedagogy, which goes on till 2030, which means we are going to go along with this policy till 2030. That's not a good idea. When there are so many changes happening, both from environment, from technology, from attitudes, from learning outcomes, we need to make this shorter. We need to have intervention much earlier than 2030 so that we are in line with what is happening around us and around the world. What are the positives that you're looking at? There are more content developers coming on the scene. I'm using the word content developers because there are both print and non-print development happening. We see technology in the classroom coming in some form or the other. We see number of edutech startups coming. There are a lot of companies which are investing in edutech in India. But what I don't want is a digital divide. If 17% of schools is an urban area, we need to be looking at what are we going to do to the remaining 83% and how we are going to make them inclusive. I recently wrote a piece on the divide in terms of digital, is because we're all talking about everybody has got that. I'm not talking now about school children alone. The entire country is digitally engaged in one form or the other. Everybody has a phone. Phones, but everybody uses Paytm, everybody uses all kinds of stuff. All I'm saying is that digitally engaged. From the education perspective, how we are going to use this opportunity to convert them to a positive thing, to use that engagement to deliver education. That's the one that the policymakers have to be looking at. Also, in terms of statistics, only 30% of the and leaving out the rural uh, students. So, what is currently we think will happen as we go forward is, I think blended learning is the immediate answer. It's not going to be either or, it has to be both print and digital, with each one supporting and complementing the other. A lot of experiments are happening in the blended learning space, and I think that is where we should be looking at. The other thing which I've been hearing a lot, having attended so many webinars in the last 2 months, is there is a Cambridge report that suggests that children below social skills. And I think when they go and meet more people, they also get the kind of antibodies to fight any future epidemics. So because they get that kind of a strength. So I would say probably it's much better and safer to start looking at emphasis on digital more from the middle school level when we know that scientific theory suggests that the children should not be exposed at the younger age. Uh, because people are losing jobs, because people are losing parts of their salary, there is going to be huge pressure on price points in the publishing industry. Of asking for price reductions. So the industry needs to very carefully really look at their costs wherever the cost needs to be looked at. I'm for one for sure is recommending that the distributors discount, the resellers discount, the institutional discounts all had to be looked at if you're going to make this game a meaningful one and a profitable one. We can't carry on like this in the kind of a discount that has gone up in the last 5, 6, or 7 years. We need to definitely relook at it. So I would say at the moment, it's more about how do I revive, and maybe a little later, how do I grow? So survival and revival is the first one, and growth probably comes in later. What will happen in the process? Some vulnerable small players will go away, unfortunately. If they're able to hold out, they will hold out. Otherwise, there is a danger of consolidation where the smaller players may be affected. The final two things I want to say are it's absolutely clear, even after, I was listening to Nirmala Sitharaman's 5-day speech over the budget, and in the big number of 20 lakh crore, education was 2 slides, and I have a copy of those slides, and with no money awarded in those slides. So there was nothing. So let's be absolutely clear. The GDP spent on education as a percentage is not likely to go up. Let us move towards a PPP model. Let's encourage private sector to come in. Government can have its own say. But I think the PPP model is what I'm looking at as the future, particularly after the pandemic. Thank you.
I think Seshadri sir has made some very important points pertaining to the publications as far as the students are concerned, as far as the rural environment is concerned. And they are absolutely very valid points. But let me expand the scope of the subject a little. We are tending to let's tend to look at the bigger picture. And may I now request Sri Vivek Mehra to kindly share his thoughts. Vivek ji. He's missing.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity. I represent SAGE, so I think my area of focus is generally higher education, and I shall speak related to that area by and large. But because it's about the publishing industry, just a few things that I wanted to say. So, for the last 3 decades that I have known or have flirted with education and worked within it, I've never heard a perfect education system in India. I've only heard that it is broken and it needs fixing. I haven't heard that it has been fixed and it is there. So it's work in progress, and probably this conversation is going to go on for the next 50 years or 100 years, and the same conversation
Vivek ji, your voice has gone.
I think
It's only on the bandwidth. I'm here.
Okay, okay.
I have full bandwidth, but so the distribution is democratized, and earlier, like you said, that booksellers and book publishers, book distributors control the supply chain. Today, we have a fairly equitable, I won't say equal, but we've got an equitable playing field. Now, even a small publisher can get the same kind of visibility that only big publishers would get. I think that has made a lot of people uncomfortable, which is rightly so. But I think we should look at the positive side of this democratization and not just at the other side, which is on the discounts and all of the damages that the perceived damages, I would call them, that's happening because of these discounts. Yes, of course, there are some sectors which are in publishing sectors which are affected more than others are. When it comes to publishing, I think that my observation is that we have been very slow to adapt to technology. That's my key observation of 15 years in this chair. I have seen that whether small publishers, large publishers, medium publishers, the adaptation to technology has been differential. If you've got a multinational publishing house, I think they have had technology forced upon them. But when it comes from initiatives taken from within India, we have not been at the top of our game. So when you talk about education apps, the question to ask is, how did a Byju's gain a valuation of $10 billion? We might refute that and we say, well, there's something wrong, it's not right, it's not, whatever it is. Today, it has a valuation of $10 billion and it's not originally by a publisher. So there is some amount of internalizing of this data we've got to do. A corollary to this whole adaptation of technology is the understanding of what is a digital resource. So in the higher education sector, I won't expand on this, but I have actually heard people say that if we videotape the lecture, then that's a digital resource that's available to the students. If that's what our higher education sector thinks about a digital resource, then I don't know where to begin to trying to fix it. So we have to understand that if we have to impart education, it's not about recording a lecture. The distribution challenges. So I think it's better that we focus on what's coming down the pipeline as opposed to what's happened. When we talk about publishing and distribution challenges, so yes, we were one of the people that continued to publish through this pandemic. We released new titles as electronic first, and print editions will follow later on. This is a lean period for us, or we have identified it as a lean period, and we scaled down our publishing. So we were kind of not really caught unawares with it. At the higher education level, they are going to have some problems, especially the smaller ones associated with institutions are going to have problems. There's a supply chain disruption that's not going to go away in a hurry. But at the end of the day, the big question is there some other way to ensure that the customer doesn't suffer? Because supply chains can still bounce back, but there is a periodicity, there is a relevance of time for the customer, especially in higher education. If that moves, what happens? So I don't know the impact of this kind of a lockdown. Luckily, some institutions closed during this period, others are scheduled to be opened. So I'm not sure what happens. I'm not completely sure what happens to the end customer, which is basically the students and the teaching faculty. What will happen if there are these kind of challenges? The primary reason for the challenge is that we have been heavily print dependent. We have had we made inroads over the last decade and a half on digital resources across the higher education sector. But even then, when you talk at the classroom level, at the faculty level, it is still very heavily print driven. The other issue is that even when we talk about online distribution, Amazon and Flipkart have successfully been moving books lower and lower in their priority. They are no longer the kind of business drivers that they earlier used to think they were. That's moved down. So is that an opportunity or is that a threat? I like to be the optimist and think, well, there's another opportunity opening up. In fact, Flipkart a few years ago had walked out of the ebooks business. Now they wanted to make a comeback through the back door. So is there an opportunity for Indian publishing? I definitely think there is going to be one. When we talk about the publishing houses themselves, a big issue has been continuity during this pandemic. So work from home. I'll only talk about my company as an example. We went into work from home 1 week before the lockdown was declared, and we were at 85% capacity within the first week. And within 3 days of the lockdown, we were working at 95% capacity, and we've been oscillating between 95-98% capacity for the first 10 days or so. And we are actually 105% of capacity for the last month. So we are actually more productive working from home than we have been when we were in the office. It sounds difficult to believe, but actually that's exactly the way we are. And for us, the Delhi government has freed up opening up the offices, barring the warehouse. We've opened nothing. Everybody's still working from home, and we are in no hurry to come back to the office at all. We are actually looking at giving up office space over the next 3 or 4 years. We won't do it in a hurry, but we are definitely rethinking about the entire ecosystem of publishing and saying, do we really need to get to the office? And if we need to, then how much do we need to get? So that's going to become a game changer for us. We will now have the ability to hire from anywhere in India. People will not need to be physically located or relocated from one destination to another. In fact, I think that one of our divisions, the IT division, is probably going to take the lead, and as early as next month, we might be hiring people from outside the city, and their permanent job description will be working from home. There are a couple of other hats that I wear, so I'll quickly talk about them. I've been in conversations looking at small publishers, and there have been some outreaches about technology adaptation, distribution adaptation, and the biggest challenge I think is that they don't get economies of scale, and then they don't have the resources to be able to ride this tide. Well, it's a problem, and we are all facing it. We're not going to get over that in a hurry. But I think as an industry, I don't think that we have collectively addressed this problem. We've had it in fits and snatches. We've got some associations doing something about it, but by and large, as an industry, if we took them segment by segment, I don't think we've done enough. So there's an opportunity to grow. I also represent the visually impaired. So I heard from them when I talked about this, when they asked me to get across a few points, and two of them was that nobody thought about them when this pandemic happened. The second one is that we as a nation, because we have been so resistant to digital technology, we have not been making content, born accessible to them, uphill task for them. So we need to be thinking about the marginalized. We need to be thinking about the people who actually are the greatest users of digital technology. And that I think they repeatedly said to me, and we've discussed this in the in the forums where the visibly not available, that these people are willing to pay, but publishers are not willing to provide the content. Still a big battle that they fight to try and get content for themselves across the spectrum. The school publishing, whether it is higher education publishing, whether it is what we call trade publishing, the general. are the ones who, it's a market that exists, willing to pay, but not being serviced adequately. I think I'll stop there. Thank you.
विवेक जी आपने बहुत गहन इश्यूज उठाए जो विजुअली इम्पेयर्ड और जो वर्किंग फ्रॉम होम का ये जो नया कल्चर आ रहा है, इसके साथ हमको शायद एक पॉइंट जो अभी तक एड्रेस नहीं हुआ है, वो हमारी हिंदी और प्रादेशिक भाषाओं के बारे में हमको इस वेबिनार में भी कुछ सोचना होगा। मैं प्रभात जी से आग्रह करता हूँ वो अपने विचारों से हमें साझा करें।
धन्यवाद डॉक्टर साहब। सबसे पहले IGNC को हार्दिक आभार कि उन्होंने इस प्रकार का एक विमर्श रखा जिसमें भविष्य में प्रकाशन की गतिविधियां और उसके बारे में एक विमर्श रखकर आपने एक बहुत बड़ा काम किया है। इसलिए आप सबका हार्दिक आभार। मेरे फेलो पैनलिस्ट का भी मैं स्वागत करता हूं और जो इस वेबिनार से जुड़े उन सब लोगों का मैं हार्दिक स्वागत करता हूं। मित्रों, प्रकाशन पहले ही बहुत बड़े संकट के समय से गुजरता रहा है। विगत 2 दशकों से हम देखें तो निरंतर पठन रुचि का अभाव हुआ है, पुस्तकों के प्रिंट ऑर्डर कम होते गए हैं। उसके कारण किताबों के दाम बढ़ते गए हैं, बुक सेलर्स के डिस्काउंट बढ़ते गए हैं, बुक सेलर्स के द्वारा पैसे न दिए जाने की स्थिति में हानि बढ़ी रही है। खर्चे बढ़ गए हैं, पुस्तक एक स्थान से दूसरे भेजने का खर्चा बढ़ गया है। एक किताब भेजने में ₹50 का खर्च आता है, जो काफ़ी बड़ी वो राशि बन जाती है। यानी कुल मिला के प्रकाशन पर बहुत संकट गहराया हुआ था। इस कोरोना के कारण से ये संकट और आसन्न हो गया है। परंतु मुझे लगता है इसमें ये जो संकट है, ये चुनौती है, इसी में से समाधान निकलेगा और समाधान निकलेगा इस बात से कि हम आत्मनिर्भर बने। हम पुस्तकों का एक ऐसा तंत्र विकसित करें कि पुस्तकों की माँग एक बन जाए, तो ये जो हम इसमें इकोनॉमी ऑफ स्केल की वजह से चिंतित होते हैं कि 200, 500, 1000 कॉपीज़ का प्रिंट ऑर्डर होता है सामान्य किताब का। मैं सामान्य जनरल बुक्स की बात कर रहा हूँ क्योंकि पाठ्य पुस्तकों के बारे में विस्तार से अभी हमने 2 अपने अग्रजों के बारे में से सुना है हमने। तो जो सामान्य पुस्तकें हैं जिसको हम लाइब्रेरी बुक्स बोलते हैं, जो जनरल इंटरेस्ट की किताबें हैं, उनके बारे में बड़ा संकट ये है कि वो आम आदमी किताब नहीं खरीदता। तो मुझे लगता है कि अगर इस संकट के समाधान में जैसे अभी एक बहुत हमको एक आशातीत सफलता मिली है कि इस लॉकडाउन के पीरियड में ई-बुक्स की संख्या हमारी बढ़ गई। जिस ई-बुक्स के बारे में एक नेग्लेक्टेड सा एक दिमाग में वो था, परंतु उसके प्रति लोगों की रुचि बढ़ी है। तो ये एक बहुत बड़ा एक प्लस पॉइंट है कि आने वाले समय में ई-बुक्स के प्रति लोगों का रुझान बढ़ रहा है, यानी पुस्तकों के पढ़ने के प्रति लोगों की रुचि बढ़ रही है। तो इसको एक समाधान के रूप में हम देखते हैं कि अच्छी पुस्तकें अगर हम बनाएँगे, जो पाठकोन्मुख हों, केवल लेखक लिख दे और उसे हम छाप दें, इस दृष्टि से नहीं, क्या वो पुस्तक सचमुच पाठक के लिए उपादेय है, उसके उपयोग की है, उसके संस्कार में, विचार में किसी प्रकार का परिवर्तन और परिवर्धन करने में वो सक्षम होगी। ये अगर भाव जागृत होगा, तो मुझे लगता है इसी में से हम समाधान निकाल पाएँगे, क्योंकि अच्छी पुस्तकें ही अंततः स्थायी भाव के साथ समाज में रहेंगी। यानी अगर ये इस लॉकडाउन के पीरियड में हम देखें तो जिस प्रकार का कंटेंट नेटफ्लिक्स और ओटीटी के अलग माध्यमों से परोसा गया है, उसने एक विकृति समाज में पैदा कर दी। हम पहले संकट में थे कि ये फ़िल्मों में किस प्रकार का नग्न प्रदर्शन होता है, अश्लीलता होती है, तो उसको तो फ़िल्म सेंसर बोर्ड काबू कर रहा है। परंतु ये ओटीटी के माध्यम से जो हमारे घर में सामग्री परोसी जा रही है, उसके बारे में भी सजग होने का अब ये समय आ गया है। तो चूँकि प्रकाशन से जुड़ी चीज़ नैतिकता से जुड़ी हुई चीज़ है, इसलिए इस विषय में यहाँ स्पर्श कर रहा हूँ मैं इस बिंदु को कि आने वाले समय में केवल गुणवत्ता के आधार पर चीज़ें बची रहेंगी समाज में, जिसमें गुणवत्ता नहीं होगी। इसलिए लेखकों को परिश्रम करना पड़ेगा, मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी, अच्छी पुस्तकें डेवलप करनी पड़ेंगी। कुछ भी कंटेंट परोस देना ये एक अच्छे प्रकाशक की ज़िम्मेदारी से बचने की बात है। हम वो दें, जो बच्चों के विकास में, उसके परिवार के विकास में, उसकी सार्वभौमिक एक विकास क्रम के अंदर जो मदद कर सके, ऐसी पुस्तकों का समाज में स्थान होगा। क्योंकि ये जो संकट के बादल हैं, ये आज से नहीं गहरा रहे। पिछले 2 दशकों से हम लोग इसको जूझ रहे हैं। एक समय आया था, कहा था कि धीरे-धीरे पुस्तकें समाप्त हो जाएँगी, केवल ये मीडिया का इतना भारी आक्रमण हो रहा है, परंतु पुस्तकें अपनी जगह पे जमी रहीं। हाँ, ये अच्छा है कि उसका स्वरूप बदल गया, ई-बुक्स के बारे में लोगों की रुचि बढ़ रही है, ऑडियो बुक्स के बारे में लोगों की रुचि बढ़ रही है। तो कुल मिला के मुझे लगता है एक आशावाद हमारे को मन में जागृत करना पड़ेगा और हम सरकार की ओर ना देखें। सरकार की ओर हर चीज़ की आस लगा के बैठना ये ठीक है, एक हमारे को एक अभ्यास पड़ गया है, परंतु हमको इसी में से संघर्ष करके अपना मार्ग प्रशस्त करना होगा और मुझे लगता है कोई अ, थोड़ा समय है लगेगा ज़रूर इस इन परिस्थितियों से पार आने में, पर निश्चित रूप से हम में वो जज़्बा है, हम में वो अपनी आंतरिक शक्ति है भारतीय समाज के अंदर कि रिसर्जेंट होके हम लोग आगे आएँगे और भविष्य हमारा उज्ज्वल होगा। क्योंकि मुझे लगता है कि समाधान का मार्ग ढूँढना है। तो यहाँ जो वरिष्ठ लोग बैठे हैं, इन सबसे चर्चा में जो बिंदु निकल के आएँगे, उससे मैं लगभग समझता हूँ एक व्यावहारिक अ, पथ हमारे सामने निकल के आएगा कि आने वाले समय में पब्लिशिंग किस दिशा में जाए। तो मुझे लगता है कुल मिला के ई-बुक्स की ओर एक रुझान लोगों का बढ़ेगा, ऑडियो बुक्स की ओर रुझान बढ़ेगा और जिसमें गुणवत्ता होगी, क्वालिटी होगी, केवल वही पुस्तकें समाज में स्थान लेंगी। क्योंकि भारत में लगभग मेरे पास जो आंकड़ा है कि 45 करोड़ लोगों के पास मोबाइल फ़ोन है और इसको अगर हम देखें अगर आधी आबादी के पास भी अगर स्मार्टफ़ोन्स हैं, तो एक बहुत बड़ा नंबर है, जिसके पास अभी हम ई-बुक्स के माध्यम से और ऑडियो बुक्स के माध्यम से जिसको हम ट्रैप कर सकते हैं। तो केवल वही है कि कंटेंट हमको अच्छा विकसित करना होगा। इन्हीं बिंदु के साथ मैं अपनी बात को समाप्त करता हूँ। बहुत-बहुत धन्यवाद।
धन्यवाद प्रभात जी। अब मैं श्री सुनील नेवतिया जी से आग्रह करूंगा वो अपने विचार रखें।
सुनील जी आपको अपने आप को अनम्यूट करना पड़ेगा। अभी आप म्यूट पे हैं।
Good afternoon and thank you for the opportunity. As a vernacular publisher and as a retailer, there is no doubt that there are huge amount of opportunities. But then the opportunities of a retailer, I'll first talk to the panel and the viewers as a retailer. As a retailer, we have lost sales to online sales, be it Amazon, be it Flipkart, or anything else. In Amazon sales, or I mean in the online, there are threats of marketplace sales of pirated editions. Retailers are not organized. Our size is very small. We have to sell all kind of books to survive. And as a
ये
सुनील जी आवाज
सुनील जी, क्या आपको हमारी आवाज आ रही है?
हाँ हाँ, is it now clear?
Yes.
हाँ
Yes.
यस ना
All right, okay. I mean,
नहीं सुनील जी फिर चली गई आपकी आवाज आई थिंक बैंडविड्थ का इशू है सर
I think Sunil ji is having some issues with his bandwidth. In the meanwhile, I think let us wait for him to reconnect. And in the meanwhile, let me request Renu ma'am to kindly take over and give us her thoughts on the subject, please.
रेणु जी, you are on mute.
रेणु जी अनम्यूट कर दीजिए अपने आप को पहले आप। रेणु जी अपने आप को पहले आप अनम्यूट करिए। हाँ अब ठीक।
नहीं, अभी भी नहीं आ रही है। हाँ, now she.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. So, being a small independent trade publishers, my perspective will be that of an independent publisher who is into general books, fiction, non-fiction. Thankfully, my experience of publishing has not been that gloomy. It was a roller coaster ride with lots of ups and downs, but there was an immense learning too. I don't think I ever had a moment of despair or regret. So I owe it to publishing industry, whatever I am today. So when I compare the book industry today with the industry I stepped into, say, a decade and a half ago, I see a lot of changes. It is today more professional, competitive, and engaging. Of course, it has its own struggles that are kind of internal to this profession. Back then, there were fewer publishers and fewer authors, but frustrating distribution channels, long credit periods, delayed or no payments at all. I felt so frustrated that one day I just decided that I have to start a newspaper to highlight the problems of the industry. My experience at Hindustan Times and Indian Express came in handy. The newspaper was in circulation for 12 long years before I shelved it, unfortunately, some support or partnership. Today, the industry looks much more vibrant, innovative, and professional. However, hard we may despise multinational companies. It is they who, I think, have brought professionalism and system into our industry. Yes, they may have eaten into our space, but certainly have taught us how to be effective. Took us by storm, as everybody agrees, was digital revolution. A difficult change, but it seemed inevitable. Customers got their books cheap, publishers got better deals, and authors got some visibility. The sad fallout was the traditional bookstores felt the heat. Most either shut their shops or started selling online. I strongly believe we have the prices. Another inevitable change, I think, has been e-publishing. Bigger publishers, as Vivek said, were quick to adapt to this, but for small independent publishers, it has not been that easy. Most of us in this segment, I would say, are tech challenged.
we needed a resource to find out how to do it, which means an additional cost. There is always a financial crunch, so I think most of us indies have been postponing it. Now, the people have started talking about audiobooks, which I personally find very exciting. But again, it is the cost and the viability which probably stops us from experimenting. Another marked change in the last 5 years, I think, is we have learned to distinguish between sales and marketing. When I entered publishing, only a few houses had a marketing executive. In no time, this department flourished like anything, and we started hearing about book tours, author meets, big flashy book launches, paid reviews, algorithm-based book recommendations, paid display of books, and literary festivals. In the last 2 months, digital media has completely changed the face of book marketing in India. I don't know how how this is going to monetize the whole system, but then yes, this has shown us the way, and marketing does help for at least trade publishers like us. Self-publishing, as ma'am said, is another area which mushroomed across the country over the last few years. It has fulfilled dreams of many an author. So all in all, not such a grim situation if we don't take into account the pandemic. And if I talk about COVID, to my surprise, we opened our office last week to a very good start. We had orders online as well as offline. I would like to believe things will not be as bad. Has to be a regulatory body that can create a congenial atmosphere and provide some support, such as maybe subsidy on shipping of books, or some translation grant, or library funding, or tax relief. So we do need some support. And then there is this digital area. There is always this pilferage, fear of pilferage. Many of our bestsellers we find can be accessed easily, free, of course, on various apps. There have to be stricter laws in place to arrest this unlawful activity. What is more worrying is in last 2 months, I felt that it is the explosion of the video content, especially in these 2 months of lockdown. People have got hooked to streaming services like Netflix, Amazon Prime, etc. Although most of the content there are adaptations, but I fear that if this continues, it might affect the sales of the books. Thank you.
Thank you, Renu ma'am. We'll come back to you in the second round. सुनील जी, क्या आप कंटिन्यू करना चाहेंगे?
Looks like I have this bandwidth issue.
Oh, okay.
Camera.
आपका वीडियो अभी फिलहाल ऑडियो तो आ रहा है, but video is not.
I think video अगर ये बंद कर दे, that would be better. Could be better.
Possibly.
हाँ.
ठीक है.
अब हाँ.
Is audio clear?
Yes.
Audio is clear.
All right. Okay. See, I was speaking about retailers' issues. Like Sadhana madam started that there was a connect between a bookseller and a customer earlier. Now that there are hardly any customers walking in, Now that there are hardly any customers walking in, so we as a retailer, we have to look out and search for customers. And when we approach the corporates, government, or institutions over there, any retailer or any institutional supplier, they have to shell away a huge amount of discounts to them, overhead expenses, and the credit, the payment issues. Any legitimate retailer, we all know that the market is full of pirated editions, spurious editions, etc. And a retailer has to fight the competition with those people as well. A retailer, I mean, we all know how the higher education market has suddenly evaporated. I mean, if you take the 10 years journey, the market is probably down by 70-75%, especially the textbooks market when it comes to engineering and medicines. As a vernacular publisher, we publish translated works, and we also commission authors to publish books in Telugu language. More or less, our market were dependent more on government purchases, and since last 5-6 years, there are hardly any government purchases, and the market is very bleak. I feel the publishers or the authors, while giving away their copyrights, they should allow the vernacular publishers to publish books in a gist with 50% contents, or allow the books to be published chapter wise, which will become very easy for buyers. And the vernacular publishers can also publish them on e-contents, and with the smartphone on, I'm sure that's one area where opportunities are lying to be tapped. Post-COVID, we don't know. I mean, what is going to be the students or government's regulation of sending children attending the schools? How many small publishers will survive? How many small schools will survive? This is all that I can say. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunilji.
It's 4 o'clock.
May I now request Shri Ashok Gupta to give us a slightly broader perspective, since he's associated with the Federation of Indian Publishers. What is the view from the top that you are seeing, sir? Could you kindly give us an insight into that?
Yeah. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I am in this industry for more than 30 years, and I belong to a family who is in the industry for more than 80 years now. I think in the last 5 years, this is the worst period I have seen, and is still going on. Earlier, in last 88 years, we have never faced this kind of recession in book trade. But somehow, because of the technologies and other factors also, I think industry is going through a disruptive mode as well as in a downhill course. What Sunilji has said, more than 50-60% sales have come down. print runs are coming down. And it is, I am not talking about only school books, even higher education books, even school books, they are being impacted. Government purchases have gone down all over. And all the more, I would say, gradually, because of this technology, easy technology, because of so many things are now social sites, then internet, scanning transmissions, and it has become so easy to reproduce a content and then transmit it without any legal botheration. Now it has become so easy to transmit even a complete book. So this has impacted our industry. And on the second hand, Google and other search engines, they are able to search through our material and then build up their portfolios. Their eyeballs are increasing, their valuations are increasing, and at the moment, Government of India somehow, though we have very strong, very strict copyright law, but they are not creating awareness about it. It is directly impacting our industry. We have been writing to them, but somehow what we feel is there is indifference towards the books. Earlier, HRD ministry used to take care of the book industry. They used to discuss the problems. But in last 5-7 years, what we are seeing is they are indifferent. They seems to be in digital mode. Everyone is talking about digital technology, and it seems as if they have forgotten the conventional or traditional books, as if they are going to go away. And no one even knows now whether the new technologies will definitely produce the learning outcomes what we have been getting in through the books. No one has done any survey about it. What would be the kind of learning outcomes? So this also needs to be studied. I am not saying that the technology is a bad. Future is always for blended technology, blended media. The content would be delivered both ways. But there should be some norms about the digital technology, how it has to come into education sector. There are presently no norms. Everyone is just coming out with his idea of digital animation or some audio visual presentation. Nobody knows what is happening, and with the result, book industry is being impacted. And this free content which is happening on social sites, I think some sort of restrictions. In what way, I do not know in what way, because internet as such is quite useful to the general public. It should be there. There should not be any restrictions, but somehow the publishing costs are increasing. Publishers are day by day becoming very selective in publishing books. Day by day, print runs are coming down. And another point I would like to raise, in ebook portfolio, one major company has taken almost a monopolistic situation is there. There is no other portal on ebook which is available pan India or globally. Just one company, and they are dictating their terms. They are dictating their terms. If you submit your ebooks, they take away major chunk of the total cost price. They take away, and no one is raising the issue, and no one is coming forward to regulate that channel, which is, I think, not good for the industry. I am all for the new technologies. There should be some 2, 3 more, 4 more channels for ebook portals. But just one ebook portal, it is almost a monopolistic situation, and they are dictating their terms. And they have also come into the earlier it was just a marketplace, but now they are themselves a publisher, which is also affecting. They know the total analysis of the books, what are being sold in India. On that basis, they produce and then they market those books according to their reports. And they can, if they want, they can kill any book. If they want, they can kill with the kind of information they have. So I would like the government, you being a part of the Ministry of Culture, should raise these issues. One is awareness about copyright law. Secondly, some sort of regulation on social sites, some sort of regulation on ebook portals, some guidelines, something should be there. And other issues, I think all other have already talked about it. Delivery, this postal charges are very high, 50 rupees, 60 rupees a book. If the total price of the book is 200 rupees, and if we have to charge 50, 75 rupees for delivering a book to a particular destination, I think it is quite high. 33%, 40%, 50% of the cost it takes away. This only government can help in this industry. Otherwise, as a private player, we can't help it at our level. We can produce better books. We can adopt new technology. There is no denying it about it. And people, all publishers are adopting new technologies. This much I can say. Even at the school level also, the school book publishers, they have started adopting new technologies, new portals they are developing, new apps they are making, books they are converting, everything they are doing. But some norms should be there for the new technologies in the education sector. Some body should be there. This I would like to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashokji. Well, these are points to ponder about, and definitely this churn that is happening, that is the whole purpose of this webinar, to get ideas from you all, and then now the discussions will start, and the industry people will also tend to go over these issues. May I now request Abhishek Mishra ji to kindly take over, please.
Well, thank you. Thank you for arranging this webinar, and I welcome everybody here, and as well as those in the audience who are watching this online. In a way, I am different from the previous speakers in the sense that they represent some of the best talent in the publishing industry, whereas I am primarily a reader of books and a content consumer in that sense. So my perspective will be slightly different. However, just for the record, I have been associated with publishing of a few books in the previous 2-3 years. But that apart, so let me speak more as a reader of books, consumer of content, and where do I see this industry moving from that perspective. Had the COVID not intervened, then also the trajectory would have been same. Perhaps the COVID situation has only speeded up that transition. So first of all, I would say that we should look at publishing books as primarily content production. In the hierarchy of content, I would place it at the topmost. If you can write something in a book length with the expertise and the detail that it requires to be produced in a book, my own personal view is that it should be at the top of the hierarchy in terms of content. If you want to say place, let's say, a social media or a tweet at the bottom of the pyramid, then a book is at the top of the pyramid. But ultimately, it is content. Now, if that being the case, then we have to see whether our content is in line with the changing tunes, norms, expectations of the people for which we are producing this content. And is it are we innovating according to what the innovation expectation is, not just in the content producing industry, but otherwise also. If the rest of the content producing industry is innovating and we are not keeping pace, then the audience will move towards places where a different kind of more innovative content is being produced. Now, when I say books, obviously I include all kinds of books. So this being said about the content. Now, I look at content in the context of innovation and what should be there, in particularly content in two formats. One is the digital innovation primarily, but innovation generally. And let me give my personal example. As we have had this lockdown for the past 2 months now, schools have been closed. So I stay in Gurgaon, and my kid's school has started functioning for the past 3 weeks. They are primarily doing this through the Zoom webinars or whatever. Every day a teacher comes up at a particular time and he or she focuses using her or his or her mobile or perhaps the laptop. They have a whiteboard or a paper, and then they start writing this, and then they focus their mobile camera on that particular paper, and then try and teach the subject this way. So everybody is adapting. Now, why this, as somebody was saying, if you want to look at this as a digital content, this is perhaps the most basic form of digital content you can produce. People are adapting, and I asked my kid, how do you manage when somebody is focusing through a camera lens on a paper and solving math problems? He is in standard 8. And he says, I'm barely able to understand what she's writing or my teacher or reading. But this is what is happening. So now, if this is the situation, Imagine the opportunity that is there in the digital space for innovation in school curriculum, school books. And somebody mentioned Byju's. Well, Byju's is one example. Let's look at, for example, in its 8th standard physics, and you are taught convex lens, concave lens, perhaps you are taught how light functions. Imagine if you are able to produce the same book with audio-visual content, which makes it easier to understand all of these topics, as compared to the same thing being explained in a textual format. Would it not be easier for a student of class 8 to understand that content better, to understand the subject better? Somebody has to come up and crack this model. Byju's has done it in a particular way, but is Byju's the only way it could be done? I don't know. I mean, surely there are other forms of innovation. I saw somebody do one-off on a YouTube explaining some concepts of chemistry, class 10th and 11th. And that particular video has maybe millions of views just over a period of a month. Is that not a form of the book that you are publishing in the physical format? The book is available in the physical format if the student or the teacher wants to refer to the book in the physical format, but you also have a better explainable version in the digital format. Now, as somebody may argue, why should you put it up for free? If the content is good, believe me, there are people willing to pay. If there is somebody willing to pay a significant sum of money for Netflix or Amazon Prime or Alt Balaji, then there is also somebody, particularly a student, who is willing to pay to go to a teacher, who is willing to spend money and time and effort to go and stay 2 years in Kota. If the content is good, the digital content, I am sure a model can be worked out where people will be willing to pay a reasonable sum to consume this content digitally. So that was about digital, as with using one example, but this can be replicated in all kinds of content for digital. The second is what is there in the content and what should we look going forward. Now, my own view is that I have been reading all kinds of books for the past 20, 25, 30 years, fiction, non-fiction, policy, politics. And I'll tell you initially from the fiction perspective. So when I was in college, I used to read these fiction novelists, Sidney Sheldon, John Grisham, Alistair MacLean, and then later more serious fiction writers. And they were significantly popular books in our generation within the kind of people we are who used to consume content in English. We have seen that in the last 10 or 12 odd years, English writers in English have originated in India who are now writing Indian stories. Amish, Chetan Bhagat started initially, but Ashwin and so on and so forth. There is a significant amount of content to be ready to be written, which has Indian taste, Indian stories, Indian milieu, Indian geography, Indian history, and so on and so forth. That I believe is still not happening at scale. 1 or 2 people here and there are writing, but it is still not happening at a significant scale at which it can happen and which will make readers want to read this. Why I say this, I think Prabhat ji mentioned कि देश में अभी करीब 45 करोड़ internet consumers हैं. Well, Prabhat ji, the latest data is that, and this is about 2 weeks ago, more than 500 million internet consumers in the country. So 50 crore के ऊपर है. For the first time, the internet penetration in the rural India is more than urban India combined. ये पहली बार हुआ है. NII की रिपोर्ट आई अभी 2 हफ्ते पहले. So rural India में ज्यादा लोग हैं content consume करने के लिए as compared to urban India internet penetration and mostly through mobile है. Now उनको अगर आप story एक normal fictional story भी लिखो, ये love story, वो बनी हुई है Brooklyn न्यूयॉर्क में versus वो बनी हुई है बनारस में, so उसको समझ में आएगा कि मेरे जैसे लोगों की स्टोरी है, मेरे जैसे बातचीत करने वाली, कपड़े पहनने वाली, भाषा बोलने वाली, वो ज्यादा कंज्यूम करने के चांसेस है वर्सेस अ स्टोरी रिटन Brooklyn. So I think, and I'm using fiction as an example, but similarly in all other fields, there is a significant opportunity to produce content which has Indian color. Why I also say this is, you see, 20 years back, we were a country of roughly about $250 billion GDP. Today, we are roughly around 3 trillion GDP. So forget what is happening currently in COVID terms, but our stature has risen in the world. Now, as the world order is resetting, the one place where we have advantage over, say, China, is that we are a democratic country, we are a free country, and we have a significant English-speaking population. Therefore, as the world order resets, and various markers of world power, financial, economic, military narrative, इकोनॉमिक और मिलिट्री तो छोड़ दीजिए, बट नैरेटिव पावर में वी हैव सिग्निफिकेंट एडवांटेज ओवर चाइना. हम ओपन हैं, हम डेमोक्रेटिक हैं, हमारे पास इतनी कहानियां हैं कहने को, वी आर मोर कनेक्टेड विद द वर्ल्ड, मोर इंटरनेशनल ऑर्डर. तो हमारी कहानियां हैं, मैनेजमेंट स्टोरीज, एंटरप्रेन्योर स्टोरीज, हमारे नए इकोनॉमिक मैनेजमेंट थॉट्स, केस स्टडीज ऑफ सक्सेसफुल थिंग्स. सो बिजनेस बुक्स. A business which becomes successful in India is perhaps a more replicable model elsewhere in the world as compared to a successful business in China, because जो China का मॉडल है पूरी दुनिया में शायद बहुत कम जगह replicate कर सकते हैं. So argument I am making is that going forward, if we can focus on content which is India focused. अब जैसे इंडिया में कुछ होता है मान लीजिए, तो पूरी दुनिया इंडिया को एनालाइज करने लगती है, यूएस के पेपर्स में लिखते हैं, वहां पर रिसर्च पेपर होता है. अभी इस वक्त यूएस में चल रहा है एक पर्टिकुलर सिचुएशन, हम क्यों नहीं एनालाइज करते यूएस के सिचुएशन को सिमिलर पर्सपेक्टिव से? हम अगर वो करने लगे तो देन इट विल क्रिएट मोर अपॉर्चुनिटीज फॉर आवर राइटर्स, आवर पब्लिशर्स, आवर कंटेंट क्रिएटर्स. सो I will not take much more time. So this is what the crux in terms of content. If we can individualize our content across the board and we can innovate and go digital wherever we can, this does not mean that the physical form of publishing will vanish. It will certainly not vanish because it has its own charm. But even in the physical format can be innovate. कुछ किताबें आजकल आती है जैसे QR कोड लगा रहता है उसमें, so if you want to read more, scan and go and see particular content in more greater detail on the net and so on and so forth. Broadly, this is what the points I had to make. Thank you so much.
Can I come in here?
Surely, ma'am. Please go ahead.
Akhilesh ji, about innovation, digital innovation in school books. I'm not sure about the penetration. As you said that, I think it is more for urban children that you are talking about. Sheshadri ji, I think you would know it better. How many children in government schools? You know, government schools are also teachers are teaching online, but how many children are effectively using that teaching? There is no learning at all. I have my help who has 3 children who go to a government school, and the teacher always complains. She's been calling her up that the children are not coming for the online lecture. She doesn't have a smartphone. She just has one phone for the whole family. That too is not a smartphone. How is she able to give it to her children? She feels so desperate that she's not able to afford it and give it to the children. So this is all, I think, I don't know how far this is effective in a country like ours.
So do I respond to this, or this was just a one-off comment?
No, Akhilesh ji, please, no problem. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So, Renuji, this is not as if what I'm saying is going to happen tomorrow, right? So, as we move forward tomorrow, day after, 1 week, 2 week, 2 months, 2 years, 3 years, this is where we are evolving. Now, अगर आप बायजूस का देखें डाउनलोड रेशियो कि कहाँ डाउनलोड हुआ है, I can assure you it is not just urban centers which are using this. It is penetrated into tier 2, tier 3 cities, maybe towns. Has it penetrated every economic strata? Certainly no. It has certain costs. But we will be mistaken to think that digital content is class dependent or economic strata dependent only. If we have good content, there can be models found where people are able to consume. Now, I don't want to get into detail of this too much. People are present here in this panel who are more officially representative of the government than I can speak on behalf of the government. But the Ministry of HRD has e-learning modules. And from what I understand, they are into a major scale relook of that in light of the COVID situation, where they can make it more accessible for people, families who have only one smartphone or maybe no smartphones and so on and so forth. The point I was making was कि अगर आप वो जो physics का 8th class का curriculum है, उसको आप digitize कर सके, so वही पब्लिशर जो है जुड़ के अपने राइटर्स के साथ, सो वो जो डिजिटाइज कंटेंट है वो अलग अलग तरीके से कंज्यूम हो सकता है। मेरे पास स्मार्टफोन है, मैं फोन पे कंज्यूम करूंगा। अगर नहीं है तो गवर्नमेंट स्कूल एक सिस्टम क्रिएट कर सकता है, जो आई बिलीव मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एचआरडी इज लुकिंग एट दिस, जहां पे लोग इकट्ठा बैठ के कंटेंट को कंज्यूम करें। इट एक्सप्लेन्स द सिचुएशन इन अ बेटर वे। But I don't know whether this is an evolving situation. Certainly did not mean it will happen tomorrow.
I just want to step in, if I may.
Please go ahead, Seshadri ji.
Yeah, I think, Vivek very rightly pointed out that in the higher education, if putting a professor in front of a camera and he teaches one subject, and then you take it across universities and call it digital, I think what is a very important point is that the way you describe digital delivery of education has manifold implications, and it's got lots of platforms, lots of ideas. Now we are talking about penetration of internet. Now clearly the data shows 500 million users are smartphone, but let's not forget that 73% of this content in India is consumed in Indian languages. Now, like Vivek said, HRD ministry is now putting up recorded professors or teachers talking and sending it across schools. But how are the children going to consume? Because there are 22 languages in this country. How are you going to deliver content using that platform? So there is it scalable? What kind of things that we are going to do? So we need to look at those kind of infrastructure issues, bandwidth issues. I mean, there is still power cuts in villages. I mean, how do you connect power cut versus internet? So there are critical issues. That's why I keep saying that it's not a problem that you're going to solve today or tomorrow. It's a long-term plan we have to make about what are the things I need to do to make it effective delivery. And as Mr. Gupta said, also effective. Ultimately, we want to see what the learning is about. I keep saying this in most conferences. Why are we focusing so much on the container? Why are we not focusing on the content? The container is changing every day. It could be
think
one smart board, a very rudimentary one, and they're able to access content through a computer, and believe me, both of them run on solar panels. So it's not an absolute situation. It's not a grim situation that nothing is happening on the ground level. Yes, a lot needs to be done. We are a very large country. I'm sorry, I need to take one more point, which is Gupta ji's point on e-books. I need to slightly differ. I don't think that Amazon being referred to as and Kindle taking over the e-books market. They play in only one area, which is in the retail buying of e-books. There's a universe outside that, and my biggest bane is that as a publishing community, I don't think we have come together to have a counter. And I can speak only for myself and for the company I represent, that we have counters. We've got our own digital e-books platform for the last 12 years. We've got an indigenous one, which is developed in India for Indian content, can deliver and is delivering vernacular content in India to universities, to the higher education sector. It's developed in India for ourselves, and we've had that for the last 2 years. So the problem is that when markets change, I think we as a community, and I'm including myself, I'm not excluding myself, I'm saying that I don't think we've adapted and adopted at the speed that we were required to. So there are some challenges with one player dominating ebooks, but there are other ways in which that can be worked around. We are not, Kindle is probably very, very low on our total priority list on ebooks. It's probably at the bottom of the pile, and we don't really bother about what revenue comes from there because there are other sources that are much better. So just want to make that one.
Can I say something here?
Please go ahead.
We really heard such rich discussion on various dimensions, but just to take the points made by some of the previous speakers, Vivek also talked about it. I mean, if we make a strong case with the government, whether policy enabling or any kind of support or even a good environment, Ashok ji also talked about. But do you make a strong case without any data? I mean, I may be incorrect, but I do feel that a very big barrier faced by publishing industry in India is that there is a lack of data. I'm not able to access the correct data on the sales, revenue, what is the readership, how it is moving, how many language publications are there. I don't find a reliable data even on how many booksellers are there, how many titles have come out, how many regional publications are there. I mean, leave alone the readership issues and the whole issue of what is the market of ebooks compared to the total universe of the book industry, how the audiobooks are doing. So, in the absence of any solid data to back our case for the publishing industry, I don't know how should we progress. I did look at the Nelson report of 2015, but is it comprehensive enough? And is there anything that needs to be done further? Some of the speakers talked about collective action. तो प्रभात जी आप भी थोड़ा बताएं कि किस तरह के केस जो है सब लोग आगे चलेंगे अगर हमारे पास में कुछ एविडेंस ही नहीं है.
साधना जी आपने ठीक कहा कि स्तर पर कुछ चीजों का लेखा जोखा रखा जाए, ऐसी प्रवृत्ति भारतीय समाज में नहीं है और पब्लिशिंग में तो बिल्कुल नहीं है. अभी भी बहुत लोग ऐसे हैं, बड़ी संख्या में पब्लिशर्स जो आईएसबीएन के साथ में अपने आप को नहीं लेते. सेल्फ पब्लिशिंग वाले हैं, इंडिविजुअल ऑथर्स हैं, उनकी बात अलग है, परंतु पब्लिशिंग में भी बहुत लोग ऐसे हैं जो आईएसबीएन नंबर नहीं लेते. तो भारत में कुल कितनी पुस्तकें प्रकाशित हो रही है एक वर्ष में, का डाटा रखना कठिन है. और तो और वो भारत में जीएसटी में रजिस्टर करने में भी लोगों को दिक्कत आ रही है. वो कहते हैं जीएसटी देंगे तो आपका लेखा सरकार तक पहुंचेगा. तो कि अगर मान लीजिए भारत की पब्लिशिंग इंडस्ट्री 500 करोड़ की है और ऐसे अनऑर्गेनाइज्ड सेक्टर्स में 50-100 लोग हैं, पर मान लीजिए साल में वो 20 करोड़ रुपए की टर्नओवर करते हैं, तो भारतीय पब्लिशिंग का जब आकलन होगा तो वो 520 करोड़ होकर केवल 500 करोड़ रुपए हो जाएगा, क्योंकि वो उन जहमतों से बचना चाहते हैं जो जीएसटी रजिस्ट्रेशन करने पर उनको उठानी पड़ेगी. ये ठीक है कि जीएसटी के कई डीमेरिट्स हमको देखने को मिल रहे हैं. हमारा लागत बढ़ गई है. पहले कागज पे 5% वैट था, जीएसटी 12% लगता है, आरसीएम लगने लगा है, रॉयल्टीज के रिवर्स चार्ज लगने, बहुत सारे फैक्टर्स हैं. परंतु नियम तो कोई बनाना पड़ेगा ना. आप नियम बनाएंगे, आप सारा लेखा जोखा प्रस्तुत करेंगे, तभी आप सरकारी मदद की अपेक्षा कर पाएंगे. तो ये बहुत आवश्यक है कि एक इस तरीके से पब्लिशिंग हो. आज कुछ में पब्लिशर बन जाते हैं. पब्लिशिंग के बारे में केवल ये कि जो ठेकेदारी कर सकते हैं वो पब्लिशिंग कर सकते हैं आज की तारीख में, ऐसा आमतौर पे लोगों की धारणा बन गई है, क्योंकि वो ये इनके प्रकार अपनी किताबें बेच पा लेते हैं और इस प्रकार से सफल प्रकाशक बन जाते हैं. तो इसलिए मैंने जैसे प्रारंभ में कहा था, प्रकाशन एक नैतिक जिम्मेदारी के साथ जुड़ा हुआ व्यवसाय है, एक नोबल प्रोफेशन है, तो उसी भाव से उसको देखना चाहिए. तो ये बहुत आवश्यक है और इसके लिए मुझे लगता है जैसे सरकारी स्तर पे जो पुस्तकें खरीदने की एक योजना बनती है, उसमें नियम बन जाए कि बिना आईएसबीएन नंबर के कोई पुस्तक कंसीडर नहीं की जाएगी. जिन प्रकाशकों को जीएसटी में रजिस्ट्रेशन नहीं है, उनकी पुस्तकों पर विचार नहीं किया जाएगा. तो ऐसे कुछ बिंदु होंगे तो निश्चित रूप से सब लोग इस मुख्य धारा में अपने आप को जोड़ेंगे. कोई आवश्यक अगर जब आपके ऊपर सरकार का हंटर होता है कि आप चालान हेलमेट नहीं पहनेंगे तो आपको चालान होगा, तभी आप हेलमेट पहनते हैं ना. तो अगर सरकारी खरीद से आपको बहिष्कृत कर दिया जाएगा तो आप सारे लेखे जोखे के साथ में समाज में प्रस्तुत हों। धन्यवाद।
I may add something.
Can I come on this for a minute? Just 1 minute.
I may add something. Yeah.
Yes, Ashok ji, please go ahead.
Sadhana ji has raised a very valid point that
अशोक जी नहीं अपनी तो चल रही है। अशोक जी Akhilesh ji, can you hear me?
was there, it was started, but later on, I think we are not hearing anything about it. Mr. Sarkar had come out with this program where books were to be, this data was to be collected before it is published, CIP. And National Library Calcutta was supposed to undertake this total activity, but after that we have not heard anything about it. So Nielsen report, this Nielsen report, whatever it is, at least it gives you some idea. And we have been talking to Nielsen. I think they would be planning, or they will come out with a new report also. They are asking some funds from us. We have agreed to contribute as a part of it. And now we have to see how, because this is a very big exercise to come out with a report, and it needs money also. But we are working on it. I think it may take some time, but we are working on it, and definitely there would be report, some report before the 75 years of publishing. Earlier we had published 60 years of publishing a book. We had published before that. We had published 50 years of publishing, and now I think we are planning for 75 years of publishing a book. We are planning, and definitely that will also give you some idea about the total publishing we have in India. Thank you.
Akhilesh ji, I think you wanted to add something, right?
Yeah. So on this same point that Sadhana ji raised, I think, you see, I have worked in professional capacity in other industries, और अभी हम लोग रिपोर्ट्स देखते हैं, so हर महीने हर क्वार्टर पर रिपोर्ट आती है कि कितने ऑटोमोबाइल्स बिके. Now वहां पे भी जो ऑटोमोबाइल मैन्युफैक्चरर्स हैं, they are competitors among themselves, but they have some mechanism to collate all the data and come together with number. कितने ऑटोमोबाइल्स बिके, कितनी कार्स बिकी, कितने ट्रक्स बिके, कितनी बाइसिकल बिकी, कितने साइकिल बिकी. अब मैं जब इंडस्ट्री में काम करता था तो वहां पे हम मंथली इवन फोर्टनाइटली हमको ये डेटा मिलता था कि टोटल कितना बिका और हमारी कंपनी का कितना बिका. सो अब कलेक्शन ऑफ दिस नंबर्स की हर क्वार्टर में कितनी किताबें बिकी, दिस इज नॉट अ माइनर डेटा. दिस क्रिएट्स एन ओन वर्चुअस साइकिल कि इससे कैसे कैसे एनालाइज होगा. दिस एक बार ये इकोनॉमिक प्लानिंग में आने शुरू हो गया सरकार के कि ये किताबें क्वार्टरली बढ़ रही हैं सेल की, घट रही हैं, कितने लोग एम्प्लॉय करती है इंडस्ट्री, तो अगर सेल बढ़ रही है किताब की तो एम्प्लॉयमेंट बढ़ रही है कि नहीं बढ़ रही है. मल्टीपल चीजों का इसका इस्तेमाल हो सकता है. सो सम फॉर्म और द अदर, और इसमें ये सरकार नहीं कर सकती. बड़ा सिंपल है, तो एक प्लेटफॉर्म पे आके अपना डेटा शेयर करना चाहिए, कलेक्ट करके कर सकते हैं. और ये मॉडल करते हैं बाकी बहुत सारी इंडस्ट्री, जहाँ पे प्राइवेट इंडस्ट्री ही है आपस में कम्पीट करती है, बट डेटा कलेक्ट करती है.
Mishra ji, I would like to say here one thing, because you were talking about automobile industry. Automobile is, there are 6-7 players. That is all. In India, there are more than 15 to 20,000 publishers. People are talking about 15 to 20,000 publishers, and more than 100,000 books are being published. So it is really, really difficult to collect data from all of them without any government finances or without any government grants.
I understand it is a question of creating a mechanism of government grant, non-government grants. That's an issue. Creating a question of creating a mechanism कि data pool होके report होने लगे.
Already National Library of Calcutta is doing this activity. Raja Rammohn Roy Library is already distributing ISBN numbers. They already have this information. They have to just publish it.
Ashokji, but the point here is this, that you see, it is almost like a disorganized sector.
Yes.
उनके पास भी कितना डेटा जाएगा, जैसा अभी अखिलेश जी कह रहे थे कि ISBN नंबर्स ही नहीं जनरेट, प्रभात जी कह रहे थे ISBN नंबर्स ही नहीं जनरेट होते, तो वो डेटा कितना सही है कितना नहीं है, ये भी तो एक सवाल हो जाएगा ना.
Ma'am, I fully agree. But the point is valid, but 60 to 70% data तो at least they have. I won't say it is 100%.
No, I accept that point. मेरा ये इसमें can the Federation of Indian Publishers itself play a role?
Sir,
we are there to help the ministry, the Raja Rammohun Library. We can always talk to the publishers, all our members. They would be ready to contribute whatever they want. But some initial steps has to come from the ministry.
Mr. Gupta, I just want to add here that I think one of the eye opener for me, thanks to COVID, was that I realized during COVID period how many publishing and booksellers associations there are in India. Because I got to receiving so many appeals made by the government. So I think the challenge for us is we are so fragmented.
Yes.
We don't have an industry status given by the government. We are not an industry at all, as far as the government is concerned. And we don't have a platform, a good platform for advocacy. For example, I'll just give you one example. I read a shocking report from IATA yesterday, which is making a recommendation.
Yes, that's
Chowdhury, can't hear you.
Vivekji, I think you wanted to make a point, right? आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही. Renu ma'am, would you like to add anything further?
I'm listening. I said what I needed to.
Okay,
Sheshadraji, I think it's frozen. Can't hear him.
Yes. Yes.
Frozen.
He
wanted to make a point. Yeah, he had been raising his hand.
Sunilji, please go ahead.
साधना जी जैसे बोल रहे थे कि डेटा नहीं है. शी इज एब्सोल्युटली राइट. हमारे यहाँ पर कितने पब्लिशर हैं ये किसी को नहीं मालूम, कितने बुक सेलर्स हैं ये नहीं मालूम, और शायद हिट वेयर इट हर्ट्स. तो जब तक सरकार कुछ नहीं करेगी तब तक हम भी कुछ नहीं करेंगे. मेरे को ऐसा लगता है कि आज जैसे मैं एक पब्लिशिंग बिजनेस में, एक रिटेलिंग में, एक बुक ट्रेड में लास्ट 40 ईयर्स से हूं. मेरे को आज तक ये नहीं मालूम कि हिंदुस्तान के अंदर में नेशनल लेवल के एसोसिएशन कितने हैं, और ये एसोसिएशन जैसे मैं अगर बुक ट्रेड को अगर 5 जॉनरे में अगर डिवाइड कर दूं, स्कूल टेक्स्ट बुक्स, हायर एजुकेशन, कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जामिनेशंस, ट्रेड बुक्स एंड रेफरेंस स्टफ, अगर ये 5 जॉनरे में अगर डिवाइड करते हैं तो कोई एसोसिएशन है इनको संभालने वाला? और जो एसोसिएशन है भी वो क्या कर रहा है? शायद एनुअल फीस लेते हैं और कुछ मीटिंग होती है एंड दैट इज द एंड ऑफ इट. सो आई फील दैट देयर शुड बी some amount of regulation either from the government or from the association. And every book, जैसे प्रभात जी भी बोल रहे थे कि any book which rolls out from the publishing, whether it is a single book, author published, self-publishing, the ISBN should be made compulsory.
So on the government initiative, I'd like to just point out one thing. So there was a 5% import duty levied on imported books, and there was a lot of protest about that. But I think it was a step in the right direction for curtailing copyright violation and for curtailing the production of we talked about pirated books. And a big part of the foreign books that get into India are actually re-exported. This is a big cost of production and the US cost of the same books. If you send a pirated book into the US, you make a lot more money. So the next step, I think, if the government can implement, which is if they look at an ISBN and they say, 20 copies got into the country, how come 200 are leaving the country? I think a big part of piracy will be blocked right there. It will be plugged right there. I have a message from Shesh, so I'd like to read it out. He was in the middle of a point when he got disconnected, so he won't be able to connect back. He said that he read an IATA report that they're thinking about banning books and newspapers on flight, which I think would be a disastrous move. I mean, there is no logic as to why books and newspapers should not be allowed onto the flight. I mean, I completely agree that it's illogical, but nevertheless, some people think it is that dispensable that books and they might turn on next time and say you can't carry your mobile phones or God knows what are the next things that are not allowed on the flight. There was a period when laptops or in the period where batteries are not allowed. I mean, I understand the security concern, but with books, I mean,
Vivekji, that could be more a ploy towards cost cutting for the airlines itself.
I don't know, but allowing passengers not to carry books and newspapers,
that's
crazy.
Absolutely incomprehensible.
Sunilji, I just convey this Federation of Indian Publishers, in my opinion, as far as I know, I think this is the only organization which represents the publishing industry. All other associations, they represent booksellers as well as publishers. So sometimes publishing issues and booksellers issues also clash. So this is the Federation of Indian Publishing is the only organization. To tell you, this is as far as I know, there is no other organization which represents only the publishing industry. We do not talk about bookselling issues, though they are part of our trade. But this association represents the publishing industry.
One is FIP.
Yes, I am talking.
Second is FEPI.
FEPI. FEPI. That is educational. That represents a small segment, that is educational publishing. We represent the total publishing. That represents the educational and mainly connected with the school publishing.
Thank you, Ashokji. Renu ma'am, in case you have any points that you would like to add?
Not really. I think it is the government that should undertake this exercise of regulating the industry. That's it.
Or
and
copyright.
Maybe we all have problems with Amazon. So maybe the government can intervene and set right the pricing and discount structure. So yeah.
And government has to take some steps in creating awareness about the copyright law. The photocopying and this, I think this is going on rampantly all over India. So this needs to be, I think, some sort of awareness, some sort of checks should be there.
But photocopying
yes.
was approved by some high court in Delhi.
No, that was between two private parties. It has nothing to do with Government of India. It was a case between two private parties.
All right.
So they never talked about copyright law. They never. A due case was on a particular issue, and High Court judgment was on a particular issue, on a particular case for particular publishers' books. It has nothing to do.
It is allowed.
Okay.
It is essentially allowed photocopying.
No, it is the interpretation. People are interpreting, but they have never mentioned about it. Now complete books are being done.
Okay.
Complete books are being done.
Now these are actually the challenges that the publishing industry is facing. There is no doubt about it. Anybody else would like to add before I hand over to Sadhana ma'am for her concluding address?
Can I come in just for a minute?
Yes, please, Akhilesh ji, please go ahead.
So I have seen one unanimous call or sort of for the government to somehow intervene, and somehow this makes me slightly nervous because wherever government gets in, it does more harm than good in the long run. So there is one movement to get government out of so many businesses, let the people, private players, private industry flourish. So regulation, yes. Now, in terms of, let's say, marketplace, should a marketplace player be also become a producer content? That is playing out at one level for other things. So it can play out for the books also. But, so that is a question of regulation. But agar government का वहाँ भी role है, say GST rationalization, I have heard from in some other quarters that is an issue. But other than that, अगर हम government से कहेंगे आओ, तो government के जो bureaucrats हैं वो तो बहुत ही खुशी से आ जाएंगे. But हम 2 साल बाद कहेंगे जी आप जाओ, और फिर वो जाएंगे नहीं. एक बार वो आ गए थे. So that's my only caveat.
No, I would like to add here. Government के मामले में तो हम इतना कहते आ रहे हैं कि Government should come out of the commercial publishing. Why NCERT should frame syllabus, curriculum, model textbooks. Why are they publishing books? Why National Book Trust is publishing books? They should they should.
Sir, I just want to. I just want
book
to
culture. They should. Yes.
We are all talking about government. You're not inviting the government. You look at the new educational policy.
Yeah.
The current policy, the preschool education is not under the purview of the government. Now, if you look at the new education policy, government is making sure that the preschool is also under the purview of the government. So, I mean, let us be very clear. Education is part of a vote bank, and education is a very, very social issue as far as the government is concerned. So, government is not going to go away from education. That is why I keep saying, let's talk about a PPP model and not a model where everybody wants to keep the government away. You can't keep the government away in an education situation. Elsewhere in the world also, government is involved in education. But we need to find out how the private sector can work together with the government, being inclusive. How can we partner in the interest of, because remember, the birth rate is 10 million children. Please think about 10 years from now. Look at the birth rate of this country. What are those children going to do? How are they going to go to schools?
I think, Seshadriji, we are slightly digressing from the publishing to the education. Your point is very valid. I take it, but the point is, we are let's confine ourselves to the publishing aspect of it all. Yes, and now if everyone has had their say, can I hand over to Sadhana ma'am for the concluding address, please? Hello? No.
Anyone who wants to say, add, modify, or since now only 10 minutes are left and 7 minutes. So if anybody wants to sum up.
You could go ahead, ma'am. Go ahead.
So friends, it has been a really fruitful and enriching discussion today. We discussed the challenges faced by the industry over the last few years, and particularly in the wake of the COVID-19 crisis. We also discussed what new opportunities that could be opened up, the new innovations, and also that digital alone cannot be the savior, and how a blending of both physical books and e-books is the need of the hour. हम लोगों ने ये बहुत अच्छी तरह डिस्कस किया कि कंटेंट के ऊपर कितना ध्यान दिया जाए, अच्छी पुस्तकें बने, क्वालिटी बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट हो, जो ऑडियंस चाहती हो, इंडियन लैंग्वेजेस में ज्यादा प्रोडक्शन आए, नए जॉनर्स निकालने का कोई स्कोप बने, नई मार्केटिंग स्ट्रेटजीज हो, नए बिजनेस मॉडल्स हो और नए एक्सपेरिमेंट्स किए जाएं, और कई सारे जो इश्यूज जो चल रहे हैं उनके समाधान के लिए, जैसे चाहे वो कॉपीराइट इश्यू हो कि पायरेसी का इश्यू हो या डेटा नहीं है, इस तरह की जो समस्याएं हैं उनके ऊपर कुछ और डिस्कशन हो। मेरा ये मानना है कि इस तरह के इंटरैक्शंस वन ऑफ नहीं होने चाहिए, अलग अलग बैनर से जितना अगर IGNCA कर सके तो बहुत अच्छा है, लेकिन आप सारे लोग भी अपने अपने स्फीयर में अगर थोड़ा सा डायलॉग बढ़ाएं, हमारी कलेक्टिव एक्शन और हमारी जो सिनर्जी है एसोसिएशंस की, फेडरेशन या अलग अलग फोरम से हम थोड़ा इस समस्या को डिफरेंट डायमेंशन से हम एनालाइज करें, क्योंकि एक सिंगल व्यू नहीं है एंड वन साइज डजंट फिट ऑल। जैसे प्रभात जी ने कहा है कि संकट से ही समाधान निकले, तो कैसे निकलेगा समाधान अगर हम बहुत चर्चा करके आगे ना बढ़ें। लेकिन जो भी मुश्किल समय है, ये वक्त डेफिनेटली गुजर जाएगा, and with the resilience of our vibrant publishing industry and such wonderful people like you and many more, we will surely bounce back. I'm sure we'll also see a transformed landscape. Though COVID has given us an opportunity, but we are also struggling in many ways, and this is the high time. Rather, if not now, then perhaps not ever or never. So nothing looks easy, but nothing will be ultimately difficult, given our enterprise and innovation. I compliment Indira Gandhi National Center for Art and especially the member secretary, Mr. Sachidanand Joshi, for taking up this very important issue. And I also hope and rather will request him to take forward the ideas that have emerged in this webinar and the concerns which are expressed in this forum are not wasted, just that discussion is over and that's all, but also to take it forward to the HRD ministry, because I think number of people have several issues as well as solutions which have come from some of you, which needs to be discussed with HRD ministry, the issues of learning outcomes or the digital divide, and several other things that came up. कंटेंट जो इंडियन मिलियो का बनने की जो एक बात आई है, दैट वाज रियली अ वेरी गुड सजेशन. किस तरह हम कला संस्कृति से लेके और भी जो आज की मॉडर्न मैनेजमेंट टेक्निक्स बात है या इंडिया की जो हमारी यूएसपी है, उन सब के बारे में ऑथर्स को और मोटिवेट करें. एंड अभी इन सब इश्यूज के लिए बहुत राइट टाइम भी है, क्योंकि बहुत सारे डिपार्टमेंट्स गवर्नमेंट के भी चर्निंग के फेज में हैं. एजुकेशन मिनिस्ट्री के बारे में मुझे खासकर पता है कि करिकुलम से लेकर और हर इशू के ऊपर कितना डीप आजकल डिस्कशन चल रहा है. आई थैंक मिस्टर रंगनेकर फॉर हिज एक्सीलेंट मॉडरेशन, and last but not the least, I thank each of the panelists for their valuable ideas. It was indeed a great pleasure to get in touch with all of you and to listen to the ideas. And I do hope that lots of such activities and interaction may take place, which may be necessary given the challenges that we face. My once again request to Sachidanand Joshi ji and all those in IGNCA to find a mechanism of a continued dialogue on this matter and then take forward the discussion. Thank you very much. I also thank listeners of this session for their patience. Namaskar.
Namaskar.
Thank you, everyone.